networkingarizona.net. I'm going to go in with networking right away with my first guest, who's been on me now for several times. I have with me Sandy Greenlee, and she's the owner of Angels Cremation and Burial. Welcome to the show. Tell everybody a little about yourself and what you do, and kind of how long you've been doing this, experience that you've had with this, and I know you've been through a lot, so welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Carol. I would never have dreamed of being in the funeral industry, but I lost a son 31 years ago, and my interest has peaked. And so I've been in the industry for 20 years. For 5 years, I worked for other people, and then God told me to open my own mortuary, and I did. The thing that sets us apart is we're really about education, helping people to know that there's choices, there's options, helping people to be prepared in advance. We are a very low income mortuary. Doesn't mean that we don't serve people who have a lot other means of paying for it, but we do try to keep our prices as low as possible and educate. That's my goal.
And I think that's what I love about this show, that offers you to be able to do that, because there's a lot of people listening right now. Maybe it's you, maybe it's someone that you know. One of the things that I know for sure, getting prepared, and I don't know about anybody else out there, but for me, when I turned 60, all of a sudden I started thinking about, gee, I ought to think about certain things. I don't know what it was, but something happened to me. And I'm sure everybody can relate to that, because we're starting to get older. And getting prepared for something like this is so important. Before you came on the show, I had asked you, what does it look like when somebody sits down? I'm not sure if I should ask you what it looks like first when somebody comes in and they are not prepared, when somebody obviously passed away and now they didn't have any plans. What should we do first, plan or not plan first?
Well, in my opinion, we all should plan. And everybody thinks they have to be old and gray to die. I'm telling you, people die at 25, and they die at 19, and they die at 40, and they die at 50. One of the rules that we have in our office is if you come to work here, you have a power of attorney that says what you want to have done, so that I can hand that to your spouse or your significant other, your children, so that we know what you want, because to me that is such an important part. There is not probably a week, maybe every 2 weeks, somebody comes in and says, if I only knew what they wanted. And everything that is about death is about the living, other than the deceased is gone. And if you sit down and talk about it with your family, you can decide what you want to have done before it happens, and then they're so prepared. I mean, it just makes a world of difference. With my dad, we were unprepared. With my mom, we were prepared. We had arrangements made many, many, many years before she passed. And so everybody knew what to expect. Everybody knew what was happening. There were no questions. It just went like clockwork. And it was heavenly. The same as when my husband passed last month. We knew exactly what he wanted. He knew what he was going to get. We had already decided everything. And that's just the beginning of the pie, because then there's all the other things that come after that you have to take care of. The Social Security, the checking account, the house, the cars. But as long as you know what you want, it makes life so much easier in so many ways. And it's so easy. The Attorney General has a power of attorney on his website. You can download it. It's free. And if you can't get anybody to notarize it for free, come to my office. We have lots of notaries. We'll notarize it for you for free.
Now, you're located in Mesa. You've been doing this for 20 years. And we have said this before while you've been on the air with me. It's not if, it's when this is going to happen. Being prepared gives you peace of mind. I'll tell you, I know for me that when I did mine, there was a lift off of my shoulders, just knowing not only that it was about what I wanted, right? But that my children will know what I want, but that it was also taken care of. That was another part of it for me, that I wanted to make sure I had that taken care of, because today we live in a different kind of a world than we did years ago, where we had money for everything and all sorts of stuff. Not everybody does anymore.
That's correct. It is the greatest gift you can give to your posterity, whether it's a friend or a spouse or a significant other or your children or whoever it is. To me, it is the greatest gift for them to know what you want, and for them to be able to have some input into it. I mean, my mother, who is buried, was buried because of my daughter. My daughter does not believe in cremation, and the joke at our house was we can pay the psychiatrist or we can pay the funeral home. And so, but by knowing we all knew what she wanted, we knew what she was willing to give and negotiate, because you can negotiate a lot of things so that everybody can be happy. My mom didn't want a service, but when I told her, why do you go to funerals then? Well, to support the family. So other people's family is worth supporting, but your family is not. And so she had a whole different perspective then. She didn't think about it that way. And so, but it was all planned well in advance. There were no questions. There were no hiccups. Everything went smoothly.
We're live on Facebook, so I had everybody out there like us and follow us. We're going to be sharing the show afterwards. What I think, and I say this every show, and I don't care how many times I say it, I love the show because of the information that it gives people out there. Mm-hmm. It may be you, it may be someone that you know. You might be driving right now, and we're just, kind of, planting seeds, right? It's
yes.
all about planting seeds. And when you do this, when I tell you right now, we've also talked a little bit about, obviously there's a difference. Some people want to be cremated, some people don't, some people don't know. Coming in and talking to you, it's a free consultation.
That's correct. We'll help you with whatever you want, help you to make sure that you have the right paperwork, that you have everything all in order. The unfortunate thing is so many people, especially if you're wanting to be cremated, there are so many rules and laws and regulations about who can get permission for cremation except the person who is now deceased. And so many people think, well, I have a power of attorney and it will work. No, a power of attorney actually dies when the person dies, unless it states that you want to be cremated, you want to be buried, or you want the power of attorney to make those decisions. But it is very detrimental. I mean, I cannot tell you how many people come into my office thinking they have everything to take care of their loved one, and they don't. And so if you don't have a power of attorney that states that you want to be cremated, it's not good. If you have 5 children and 3 of them are indigent, you have no idea where they're at, they're lost in outer space, those 2 children cannot make that decision without a 3rd child. And so you're going to be hanging out in my cooler or somebody's cooler for 15 days while we post an obituary, make everything legal and legitimate. And so it's so very important. I tell people all the time, I wish I could stand on the rooftops and yell, please, 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 if you want to be cremated, sign and notarize your own paperwork so that it will happen.
I am so glad that you brought that up, because so many people that think they have it all done, they don't. Mm-hmm. You just said it just there. So you need to dust those off. You need to take them off, take a look at them, and make sure that they are completed the way she just said. Because if they're not, then you're back at square one.
And especially even if you go to a lawyer, they worry about what you have in life, what you're going to do with the house, what you're going to do with the car, what you're going to do. They don't really pertain a lot to. Are you going to be buried? Are you going to be cremated? Are you going to be sent home to be buried? Are you going to be at the VA cemetery?
What do you want to wear when you're in there? There's a lot of things you want to ask yourself. Mm-hmm. Now, the phone number to call you is 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angels. So 480-962-6435. The website is Angel Cremation, Angels with an S, Cremation and...
That's the website.
Go ahead.
You're right. It's the website. I was thinking of the email address.
I'm saying it. It is Angels with an S, Cremation and Burial.com, and you can check that out. I love your website, and the reason why I do is I was up there checking it out, and we were writing your ad and everything like that. First of all, it's so friendly. And you make it so simple for people who are a little bit older, I have to admit that kind of made it easy friendly for them, right? And so that if you want to click on something, it's kind of highlighted and it's got a little square on it. This is where you call, this and that. So it's really simple, a lot of great information there. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk further, because all of this is really important stuff. You can give her a call. It's 480-962-6435. She does free consultations.
For some reason I was thinking
we're still live. So we're going to keep on live. We're going to keep on talking. This is a different one that you've done before, so we're still live on Facebook. So I'm going to let you kind of keep on going, and we're going to talk out to the people that are watching us on Facebook right now, okay? So for you, and we've talked a little bit more about the planning this time, like you had wanted. We might need to go a little bit deeper into that. Question to ask you: when people come in and they think they know what they want, right? And they walked in and they go, "This is what I want," and after talking to you, how often do their plans change?
Not really often, but they do change sometimes.
They do, okay.
Because they've talked to a daughter, they talk to a son, they talk to a child, they talk to a sister. Circumstances change. People move. people are no longer where they're. I mean, like I have one right now that I'm working on. She has a $6,000 funeral in Ohio. All of her family's left Ohio, so now she's being cremated, and she just came out here for like 3 weeks and died.
Oh, isn't that sad?
And so it's going to be, a different scenario. I mean, she knew exactly what she wanted, but it's not conducive to send her back to Ohio. There's nobody there. I mean, all of her family has scattered since then.
Right.
And we are such a transient society. We are no longer.
Especially now, especially here in this state.
We used to be a stay-at-home society. Now we're a transient society.
Definitely so. I find that I think the most important thing is for people to sit down and have that conversation with you. And once they start, they'll be so happy that they do, because I know for me, what it gave me was a lot of peace of mind more than anything.
People need to talk to their family first.
So we're going
and
to
then
talk about that.
to the
Remember we
mortuary.
talked about that before too? We're going to talk about that online when we're on air. And that is that what we talked about before is that people don't make it that conversation an easy conversation
No,
to talk
they don't.
about.
I had to lock my mother's car in so she couldn't go anywhere. Literally. Her house is like an L and she parks in the L. And we walked around her and she said, well, I need to go. Nope, Mom, you're not going anywhere today.
Yeah,
But
you're
it
staying
was
and listening.
So, yeah. I mean, I have 3 stepbrothers, and then there was my 2 brothers and my stepfather. He wouldn't even speak up. He didn't want my mom cremated, but he wouldn't say anything until after the fact. See, I'm the one that talks up. I'll tell you what it is. My dad won't.
And everybody has different people kind of in their family, and there's some people that never say anything, and there's some people that do.
Yeah.
Different, huh?
Yes.
What do you like better, the 15s or the 30?
I don't know. I'll tell you when it's over.
It's kind of hard to decide. So now you see what I do. Not too
Yeah.
worried to get nervous about. So welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Sandy Greenlee. She's the owner of Angels Cremation and Burial. You know, a lot of people would ask me, why would you even think about having a funeral home, on the radio to talk about what they do? But there's a great reason to do that, and we're talking about it right now, right?
Yes, we are about pre-planning and being organized so that there's not all the trauma at the end.
Now, Sandy's been doing this for 20 years here in the Valley.
Yes.
And in Mesa, and you're more very affordable. You go
Yes.
for a more affordable approach. Who doesn't want affordable, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know about you, but I'd rather give that money to my family and not really have to spend it on me at that point. We can talk a little bit about we're going to talk a little bit about cremation in a little bit, but one thing that we talked about at the break, we were talking to everybody on Facebook, is that what people do is not make this an easy conversation. They don't want to talk about it at all. Right?
That's correct. Most people do not want to talk about it. It's going to happen to somebody else tomorrow.
But the best thing that you can do is sit down with your family, actually, and have that conversation. And if you have already done this and you think it's done right, guess what? It might not be done right. You might want to take that out and take a look at it, dust it off. You might already have a power of attorney, but God forbid you haven't filled it out just the way it should be done. Guess what? You might have a lot of problem, maybe, like you said, hanging around in the cooler for a while. That's not something I want. I'm telling you right now.
Well, it's not what most people want. In fact, it's very devastating to some people, but we can't break the law, and we can't break the rules. And so we have to be able to do what we know is right, because nobody wants to be able to have their loved one cremated and then come back and face a $100,000 lawsuit because the person who had the authority says, hey, why did you cremate my mom? I wanted her buried. And they couldn't be found at the time. And so cremation is very, very black and white. Who has the authority, who has the rights. And the most person that has the rights is you before you're gone. And signed, notarized, makes it sealed and deliverable.
Now, when you're let's talk a little bit about cremation. We have talked about this before. Everybody has the right to make that decision. But when you're talking about money and the way the process works, let's talk about that. Whether you pay X amount of money or your amount of money, let's talk about the difference of what they are.
The only difference between a direct cremation is where you go and how much you pay. It is the exact same process. They pick you up, They keep you in refrigeration. They do the paperwork. You go to the crematory. You're cremated. The cremains come back. So if it's convenient for you to go to the one around the corner and pay more, that's great. That's what you need to do. If you're watching your dollars, you might want to look for somebody that's a little less expensive. Now, if you're talking about a funeral, then you're going to see the building. You're going to have all the expertise. You're going to have different things that are given, different things that are shared. Like maybe some people do the internet picture, like a video or something like that. And so you're paying for what you're getting. And so if you want small and simple, then you'll go to a place that's small and simple. If you want big and elaborate, go to some place that's big and elaborate. Some people have to only go to this place because that's where everybody else goes. And it's a cultural thing. It is a feel-good pat you on the back. Nobody knows where you need to go but you, and you need to voice it.
Does it matter if is it non-denominational? Does it matter on that end of it?
All mortuaries will do any denomination. Some people feel that there's one that just caters to Catholics or caters to Jews or caters to whatever. It does not matter. You just need to feel comfortable about where you're going. And cremation is all about trust. And so where you go, you need to trust them. Because, in the olden days, we put the loved one in a casket. We seen him at the viewing. We took him to the cemetery. We knew that that was our loved one. Cremation is not that way. It's all about trust. If you do not trust where you're going, don't go there. Because you're going to have to walk your path the rest of your life. And if you're always wondering, did I get my mom's cremains back? Did I do something wrong? Did everything go well? It's trust. You need to trust where you're at. And people don't know this, but you can change mortuaries. Yes, there are funds.
I was just going to ask you that.
There are funds involved in doing that because they've done part of the work, so you need to pay them for what they've done. But on the other hand, you can't change your heart and your mind. If you don't trust and you don't believe in them, don't be there. Go someplace else.
I think the main thing is to have these conversations, having a consultation with you, sitting down and finding out, exactly what, you might come in there and just think that it's just you sit down and you're going to write, yes, I want to be cremated. There's a lot more to it than just, yes, I want to be cremated.
For some people that's true. For some people that's not true. It just depends on what your expectations are, what you want. I mean, do you want to be able to mail the cremains? Do you want the cremains to return to a foreign country? Do you want to keep them on your mantle? Do you want them scattered? Do you want them to be divided? There's a lot of different questions that you can ask. Also, there are people that know exactly what they want. They walk in, they sign the paperwork, they walk out the door 30 minutes later, and they're done. And also, if you're doing a pre-need and you're prepaying, you need to know that that money is always, always yours until you're dead. And so you can change mortuaries even if you've done a pre-need. It's no longer guaranteed. Not all mortuaries guarantee everything. They may not guarantee the price of the urn. They may not guarantee mailing. They may not guarantee the price. But the whole purpose of a pre-need is that everything is guaranteed.
What do you think makes your mortuary different?
Because we educate and we love people. We answer our phones 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you get a voicemail and you don't get an answer in 10 minutes, there is something wrong with the electronic system. Most mortuaries have a answering service, and so you get a call back. Most mortuaries are more about, well, this is what you want. I'm not going to educate you so you can decide that that's really not what you want. It's just, you have to listen to people to really know what they want, because sometimes what they think they want is not really what they want when you really listen to them, and so you can guide them in that direction. One of my bosses said to me one time, you can convince people not to buy something they want, and I said, no. I educate people so they know what they want and they only buy what they want.
I think that's the most important thing, is that you are educated. This is something really important to you and to your family as well. And I believe me, your family will be very thankful that you've actually done this. It's for them that you're doing it in the first place. Now, she's been doing this for 20 years here in the Valley. They're located in Mesa, and when you're being, let's say you wanted to get cremated, it really doesn't matter where that really happens. It's just the process is the process, whether you do it wherever you do it. It's just going to happen the same. Now, and they're all about educating, and they're all about loving you and making sure that you are taken care of. I think that's another big thing that you do that's different. Their phone number, it's 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angels. So 962-6435. The website is Angels with an S, Cremation and Burial.com. Go up there, you're going to learn a ton of stuff up there, because there's so much to really look at and know about for when you see it in writing. You know what I'm saying?
That's
it's totally different than when you're just sort of thinking about it. And price point. Let's talk about your prices. Why not?
Well, our prices are probably some of the lowest in the valley. A direct cremation is $580. Now, there are some exceptions to that if you weigh over 200 pounds, because we want to make sure that you're treated with dignity and respect. And we also, it takes longer to cremate, and so our prices go up if you're over that. Our immediate burial is $750. $750 for a ship out, getting someone shipped to another state. So if price is important to you, look at our prices. We are not the absolute lowest. We're not anywhere near the highest. We're not even near the medium, the middle of the road. But the thing that makes us stand out is we really care for our families. We support our families for an entire year. You'll get little cards and notes from us letting you know that we really care about you and trying to make a bad day a better day, because that first year is very, very difficult in my opinion. Might not be for everybody, but it is for me.
You know what? And you're in the industry, and it was hard for you. It's hard. I mean, I'm amazed at you, number one. But honestly, anybody that's going to go through this, or has been through it, or knows it, you just know what it's like. It's not easy, and it takes a long time. Having someone there, being there for you, holding your hand, answering questions, right, that you might have. That's what they're there for. Again, you can call them direct. Their phone number is 480-962-6435, which is 96 Angels. So 480-962-6435. The website, again, it's Angels with an S, Cremation and Burial.com. What are your final words for everybody out there, real quick?
Be prepared. You never know when your turn is coming up.
Talk about it. Let's say that to everybody right now too. Please open up this conversation to the family, because the minute that you do that and you sit down, as weird and morbid as it sounds, the most wonderful thing that you can do for yourself and for everybody else is that. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for all that you do. You've been through this yourself so many times. You're so unfortunately experienced.
But I'm experienced on both sides of the table. That is correct.
Exactly. But also for the fact that you're there for your families. The number to call again, it is 480-962-6435. She's been doing this for 20 years here in the Valley in Mesa. It's Angels Cremation and Burial.com.